Welcome to Mission Accepted. Thank you so much for coming back. And if you have not been following the journey that we have been taking, Mission Accepted and Barbara Frankson are taking a journey to transform you into having an experience of joy like you've never experienced. And we are uncovering, explaining, and moving through this incredible transformation. The reason why is because when you take on a mission, stuff going to happen. Mostly you're going to meet you. That's what happens. You're going to meet you. I'm in a relationship with you right now. You're in a relationship with me. Thank you for coming on to the show. And our relationship is boundaryless because we are sharing the inspiration and the motivation and really just that stuff that makes things happen. And that's what happens on the Mission Accepted podcast show. You know, because you come back every week and guess what? So do I. We have a relationship. We have an agreement. I show up, you show up. I'm me, you're you. Those are called media boundaries. And I'm just making this stuff off the top of my head because I am so excited because you know what? Boundaries is something that I personally, full transparency, had to learn about. I don't know where you were. I don't know. I watch my daughter work, be the parent to her daughter. And I see this whole experience of boundaries and whatever. And I'm like, well, isn't that interesting that the evolution of how we learn and how it passes on to other generations? But that just wasn't a generation that I was raised in. I didn't understand boundaries and I didn't go and look and discover them until I was in so much pain of people crossing mine. And then I had to realize I let them cross mine because I didn't know that I was supposed to have any. And so I just love what we're going to be talking about today. So Barbara Frankson, motivational speaker. This woman plane, trains, and automobiles herself all over, giving the word. Don't expect a PowerPoint because you're not going to get one. Don't pull out your laptop right now and start writing. You better get a pen and paper because she's going to nail it down until you do. And she's going to share with you in this journey of turning your pain into passion and how you can take that and just move your own internal mountains. And if you choose and share too, you can move others. Thank you, Barbara, for coming on to the show today. I'm so looking forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Oh man, boundaries. One of my topics that I love. And the reason why I love it, it took me a long time in my life to understand boundaries or to create it. I had to go back. I always go back and revisit, to see what I've missed. And one of the things I remember hearing all the time from my mom, children ought to be seen and not heard. And I said, what? And I wasn't allowed to speak, right? And a lot of times when we're not allowed to speak, there's things that we need to share, things that are happening that we need to tell people about. But so it affected me, and if you don't know better, then you do the same thing. So remember, one of the things that I always say is that you have to go back to your childhood, because when you try, especially in a marriage, when you try to put two different households, because that's what you're doing, you're putting two different households. So one believes in this type of punishment. This one says, no, I don't believe in punishment. I believe in discipline because punishment just hurt. And then one believes in putting the ketchup in the cupboard and the other one believes in the refrigerator, or one has Miracle Whip and the other one says, no, it's a helmet. So, right? So you get it. So I had to really go back there. And then I said, wait a second. How did my treatment of me, how did I learn how to treat me? By how the adults treated me, right? So verbal abuse, mental abuse, and physical abuse, right? So what that kind of does is, that's why I said we go back. But then I realized all those pain areas is for a purpose, as long as we look at them with different eyes. And when you're growing, that's why you read books, y'all. I'm a true believer in read stuff. Wherever you want to go, read it. Read it. I don't believe in that, fake it till you make it. No. Read. Whatever you read, you can become, because you're downloading it. You didn't even know it existed. One of the things that I've done, and it's so funny that we're talking about reading. I volunteer every Monday. I go into the inner city and I read with a young lady. And when I first started, she's only 7. And I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going someplace with this. And she said, I want to be a mother. And I said, you know, you can be more than that, right? So we're going to fast forward. That's where she was. This Monday was my last time. So I remember this one clearly. And when I went back, I said to her, and she always pretends she doesn't like me, but I know she likes me.
I
So
love it.
when I went back this time, I said to her, you know, it's our last time together. And she said, really? And I said, but I thought you didn't like me. You're okay. Let's talk about reading. She now wants to be a doctor. Why do you like to read? Because it gives me wisdom. It puts me into a different world. My gosh, she's 7. Mm-hmm. And I only spent the school time with her. And one of the reasons why I do that, as I said, I always want to remember where I came from. And that's why I do revisit to say, what are my lessons? Because I know I didn't go through all of that for nothing. Mm-hmm. And I refuse to let that pain just hit me and I don't take it and make it something good. Right? So it was important for me to go with the younger kids. And then after I said to him, she's in 2nd grade. I said, do you have the program for 3rd grade? He goes, yeah. I said, I want to be assigned to her. Yeah, because I want her to see, right? I want her to learn boundaries at 7 and 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And what boundaries is this? You teach people how to treat you. Respectful of time. When I have programs, I let them know. It starts on the hour. If you're not there, I'm talking. Mm-hmm. What? I am talking because I show up at least 5 minutes early to see if there's any type of technical issues, especially now if we're doing it that way. So my thing was, I remember when I jumped off of a Zoom call after 5 minutes, she said, Barbara, I came there at 8:06. I go, I was born at 8:05. She goes, what boundaries? Mm-hmm. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what language you speak. We only get 24 hours. I can't say, oh, Jake, I'd like to buy an hour for 5 cents or two vowels. No, we only have 24 hours and everyone's time is valuable. And do you know why I know that? Because mine is. Mm-hmm. So if I book something out, I book something out. This phone right here, do not disturb. That means I'm busy. Barbara, why you always want to do not disturb? Maybe because I'm always busy.
I got things to do. That's what happens when you find joy. You've got things to do. Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I've had one of the things that I've done too is because, like I said, I come from humble beginnings. I had foster daughters, and it was funny when we were setting up an appointment. They go, nope, you can't be on her. No one controls her calendar but her. They learn that. And that's what I'm saying. You teach it from younger. How do you learn? What do you mean you waited for him for an hour at the restaurant? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Next time he's going to let you wait an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Don't you create the boundaries. I had a best friend, a male, that said to me when I was dating, he said, men, I don't know if it's women, but he was talking for all men. So I'm just quoting another man. And he said, men find time for things and people who are important to them. So don't ever believe I'm busy.
Right.
I learned that from him, boundaries. So we have to create boundaries so people know, no, you can't be late, because then if I stay for you, then it's a dominoes effect for everything in my life. Mm-hmm. And that means that I've allowed you to make me, my character, my integrity, because now I'm off balanced. Mm-hmm. That is why it's so much, I schedule time with me. Once again, you learn how to do it for you, you can learn how to do it for every. And when you're talking about people, places, and things have to change. When you start changing, guess what? You know, they say, there's a saying, I love sayings. They say, if you're the smartest one in a room, find a new room.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I say something else. I say, find a room of where you think your purpose is taking you.
Mm.
And when you're in there, you're like, oh my gosh, people think like that. They did that and did that. Because before, it's just a dream, or it wasn't even in your atmosphere. Books introduce you to a new world. Come on now. Music introduces you to new music. It's a universal language. Everyone, if you're on beat, you can dance together. And I say, when I talk to my clients, we're dancing. We're dancing because I'm giving you something, you're giving me something back. Come on now, we're dancing. Right?
Yeah.
People, if people do not add or multiply, if they do not lift you up, but they put you down and they take away, they subtract, they withdraw, and they divide from your peace, baby, you won't know that if you don't spend some time with you to say, why is things so hectic? What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
My cousin once told me, givers have to know when to stop giving because takers never know when to stop taking. Boundaries.
T-shirt. That's a t-shirt
Yes.
moment. That's a t-shirt moment. That's a t-shirt moment because because the onus is on you. It's a t-shirt moment because the onus is on you. It's not on takers to learn to stop taking. If they just if my boss would just stop putting things on my desk, if they would call me at decent hours, if they would actually call when they say they're going to call, when you put that if you take the onus on you, it's like, there's no room on my desk for those papers because they're still the ones from last week. So I'll let you know when I'm done with that. Oh, it's called overtime. Oh, it's called overtime pay.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the renegotiation. I don't think we realize we should renegotiate or that we can renegotiate or we can set new rules with old people. And I think that's why a lot of times we don't go into those next rooms or sign up for that next program or go by yourself because these people don't want to go or whatever. I think because we don't realize, because sometimes when you're at the top of your party, you just forget because you're reading it. You forget that there's another group, there's another there's another stage, and your stage can be anything. Your stage can be a new job, or it can actually be a stage where we sit there and rock. And I just think that people forget they can renegotiate, particularly with people they've been in the dance with for a long time. Oh, right. I'll do that with my new clients, but I can't do it with her because I've been coaching her for 2 years, and she always shows up 10 minutes late because that's just too quick, right? Yeah.
This is how you do it. This is how you do it, Deb. You
All
say,
right, Barbara. I got my pen.
This is how you do it. Pen moment.
Pen moment.
Do not hold me in my past.
I
told you it was a pen
moment.
moment.
Hold me in my past.
Hold me in my past. Because when you say that, you're freeing yourself and them. Because I'm not holding me. And that's why I said things have to change. Because people you've been around the past don't realize I now know my value and my worth. I now know my time is valuable and it's worthy. So you don't get to show up 10 minutes anymore.
Yeah.
I know, and I don't want extra money because you can't buy my time back. Period. Right? Do not allow people to keep you in your past because people, especially when you start growing, because what's going to happen is you got a circle, right? And then you start growing and they're here. They're like, oh, you become snotty. You think you're all that. Then they start, well, did you see her? Did you see, they start, look, who does she think? Because they like the old person. Do you know why they like the old person? Because the old person didn't know their value. They didn't know their worth. They were able to control. People like control. Control you. How about that? Let's start there.
Control you.
Control you. That's why people, places, and things have to change. But guess what? When you change, it's an automatic because you're like, they're still talking about high school? I'm how old? Didn't that person die? What? What is this adding to me? It's like they're speaking a different language, or I don't know, I'm gonna age myself again, Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown is universal and it's never going to go away. It always keeps us young. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I hear. So then the places, you can't go there anymore because guess what? You've outgrown it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't watch all those series anymore. You're too busy.
Mm-hmm.
Show up on time.
Yeah.
Purpose. You don't even like the TV's there. Let me remember. Could you clean it when you come in because it has cobwebs or dust on it? Because you're not even there anymore.
Yeah.
You are a totally different person. And if you don't recognize that, and you go back and you're sitting and having lunch with someone and they're talking and you're like, I'm not even listening. How rude. That's because you're really not there.
Yeah.
Because even the conversation is holding you in your past. And that's what we don't understand. Words are powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feel bad for wanting more. I have on my Facebook, tonight, every Tuesday night, conversations on becoming. ... And they go, what's the ... for? I said, it's always becoming. You're right here, go up. You're here. And guess what happens with that, Deb? You find new rooms, new people, talk about fulfilling.
Yes.
Yes. Everything becomes a t-shirt moment.
We're going to have to go into a merchandise business, right? We're going to have to go into a merchandise business. I love this because it's a never-ending conversation. I mean, all that we've talked about is a never-ending conversation. But there's a lot of times, like, look at when I did this stand up, speak up, and show up, that was the mandate of my first company. I'm 7 companies later. And when we decided to do this, we added the yes, you. And the reason why we added the yes, you is because sometimes we get comfortable in our success and we're like, oh, just let the new ones come in and I'll mentor and I'll coach. And it's like, no, get on stage, share your wisdom, and maybe shake out some of those those cobwebs you talk about, and you're going to go to that next place. The other one is yes, you, in terms of stepping up. The first time, someone decides to step up and someone grabs their arm and they're like, me? And you're like, yes, you. They're like, yeah, but me. Like, I'm going to be on stage with her. I'm going to be on stage with Barbara. Yes, you. Get up here, because if you don't move yourself to the new rooms, and if you don't remind yourself to go to the new rooms or create the new rooms, it gets like a very stagnant, and then you don't mean to get weak in your boundaries. You don't mean to get comfortable. You don't mean to get compliant. But the voices can come in and you don't pay attention to them as much because you get kind of groovy. And I think it's okay to get successful, but sometimes we get into a groove of success and it itself can become uncomfortable. It can be like, and then you hear things like, is this all there is? Was this what I wanted?
Yes.
Is this what it was supposed to be?
Right.
And then they go see you and they're like, oh, that's right. There's more. Thank you.
Yeah. Becoming. You're always becoming. Listen,
Becoming.
I'm always becoming. Because imagine if you have clients, right? And you're taking them to a level and then your lid becomes, no.
Mm-hmm.
So always, you are an example.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, do you have a coach? Absolutely. And you can't afford, because I know that's what you're going to say, how much you pay. And baby, if you know, because no. I'm just saying, no, we're not ready for that yet, right? So big girl talk. So at the end of the day, we turn around and we pull people, right? It's called what? The changing of the guards. Changing of the guards. And I love that. Yes, you. Because you know what? They didn't even feel that they belonged in that room. Yeah. I remember the first time I decided to step into something, and the person in the room says, cheer them. And I stood up clapping. I was like, oh, they're clapping for me. Because I didn't have that sense of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into rooms that they didn't want me there. And I said, phew, now I build my own table. I build a chair. Everything. I bring it in. That door, I walked in it. It's my door.
Yeah. That's so
And
cool.
then, right, but then you turn around and you say, I will never, ever let anyone not have a sense of belonging. That's where that stuff comes. When that pain area, you remember that pain area, and you take that pain area to heal someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Look, there's so many things that are flashing through my mind that when you talk, and I think that anyone listening to our conversation today is just going to talk a little louder and going to speak a little stronger. When you talk about this, this is why I'm so drawn to creating platforms for people to speak, because I'm in Vancouver. You know, you could be in Brazil right now, and there's some woman in Turkey that needs to go and ask for some time off, and she's scared to walk through the door, and as she starts to turn the handle to her boss's door, she gets a whoosh of energy from behind that pushes her through, that she didn't know where it came from. And where it came from was from you saying to a client, I need you to show up on time. And it was from me saying, as I walked down the street and someone whistled, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's really, when I think about boundaries, I think about it so globally. And I think about the things that we do different now. I was raised in the same generation. Children shouldn't be seen and not heard. And that's cool and groovy, because a couple generations before that, we were going up chimneys and cleaning chimneys and all that kind of stuff, right? So evolution happens. And I remember I did something with my kids when they were younger. I don't know where this came from. You know how you get those ideas and you don't know where they came from? I didn't read about it in a book. I just knew that I had heard this mess. I'd heard the statistic that kids hear something like, 25,000 no's in 1 year or 1 month or something, and they hear 12 yeses. I mean, it was just so obscure, right? And I thought, well, there's got to be something, because I didn't live an abundant mindset. Children, money doesn't grow on trees and blah, 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 and keep on cutting. And I had to go through my personal, rebuild of my philosophy around the relationship with abundance. And I thought, okay, now look I did not have the money to do this. Straight up, I did not have the money, and I didn't even know if I had the bravery. But I told my kids, and I said, okay, every once in a while, and I probably did it about 3 times a year. I said, we're going to have a yes day. And they're like, what's that? I mean, I literally sat them down and had a family. We're going to have a yes day. And they're like, what does that mean? I said, that means from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, whatever you ask of me, I can't say no.
Ooh.
I know. Can you feel the money draining from my account as we say that? Right?
I wouldn't have even had a house. My kids would have taken my house.
I didn't even know what I was saying, but it was very interesting that, and even though they were raised in the world is abundant and you can do what you want and blah, 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 they didn't even know what to do with it. Like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I'll tell you, my daughter is 30, my son's 19. I started it when, my daughter was probably 4 or something. I've never had the bank break. I can tell you that that day always included shopping. And when it went from shopping at the Gap to shopping at the Apple store, I got to tell you, I was shaking a little bit in my boots, from Please Mom to Victoria's Secret. I was like, okay, here we go. Right. But never was it an uncomfortable experience for me. But I always thought I can either pay now or pay later.
Yeah.
I can pay now, and just teaching them that the world is abundant and you can have what you ask for. And that sometimes when you ask, you get a resounding yes, right? I don't know why I'm telling you about that story in relationship to boundaries, but I think it's about allowing ourselves to expand, allowing ourselves to have, allowing ourselves to be, and being okay in that space, asking and deserving and juicy.
But part of boundaries is saying unapologetically yes. Yeah. That's a boundary. Yes to me and no to you. That's a boundary.
All right.
And as Robin Arzon on Peloton says, and a boundary as sexy as, that's what She says, and boundaries are sexy as she's like, put a boundary on it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When you put a boundary on it, you say, my goodness, I have arrived to know what my value and my worth is. When you did that little that exercise when I was right there with you. Mm-hmm. Because it took a lot for me to speak up. Especially I was in a male dominated role at my job. And I remember I had to bring in some trainees and I told them, I have to tell you what my biggest fear is. And I told them, being a Black female and being expected to, it was a very hard thing for me in a white male dominated area, right? So I had to, but the way that I was thinking it is, I am not only speaking for me, I am not only standing up for me, I am not only showing up for me, I'm doing it for every woman. And until all women are free, none of us is free.
Bam. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Show up for the next class because there's going to be one. There's going to be one, and it's going to be next month. Look at. So we are going through the transformation, and if you've been walking through the transformation with us, you're as excited about next month as I am.
Yes.
Barbara, you're dropping the mic in places that are just covering all, like they're just making every part of my body sing. Look, you guys, you know what to do. Share the episode. Stand up, speak up, and show up. Show up at the Stand Up, Speak Up, and Show Up. These things are going on. They're going on as we speak, and we'll go on all the way till next year and 5 years toured after that. So there's no way you can't find where we are. And if you get lost, you can start at the hub, and that's devdrummond.com. Where can they reach you right now, right today?
BeFrankSpeaks.com. Or on Instagram, I am B Frank or Barbara Frankson. And guys, look out for me because I have Gifted Warriors in Training, a boot camp coming up. And if you don't know how to do it, I'll show you.
All right. Gifted Warriors. I love it. Okay, look, you guys. Also, theydidittour.ca. I got to mention They Did It Tour. Music is a big part of my life. It inspires me and motivates me. There's a lot of good stuff about boundaries and some songs. So go there and really support the music communities and a little bit of pain, and we need to support that, and we need to change the numbers there as well, where 90% of them are not able to pay their rent. And so we want that to be different. So the way I put it is, every time you've ever heard a song and haven't had to pay for it, just take that dollar and just run it over there. We'll gladly take it, and we will share it out for you, and we won't even charge you any of the back taxes on it. It's all free. You can hashtag clear your karma of all the music you've listened to free. Let me be that person for you. Come on over to theydidittour.ca. We're going to see you next month. Until then, honestly, be well and stay groovy. And thank you for being the best podcast ever.
Thank you.